Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew, and welcome back to our series on the Havamal. This week we are looking at verse 2, and we'll be comparing and contrasting three different translations to help get us a better sense of what meaning was conveyed here. So let's just jump right in. The first translation is by Olive Bray. It reads, "Hail, ye givers, a guest is come. Say, where shall he sit within? Much pressed is he who fain upon the hearth would seek warmth and weal." Now the second version, by David A. H. Evans. "Welcome to those who come with gifts. A guest came in. Where will he sit down? He has to hurry who is near the firebrands to put himself to the test." And then the third, by Henry Adams Bellows. "Hail to the giver. A guest is come. Where shall the stranger sit? Swift shall be he who with swords shall try the proof of his might to make." So, let's investigate the meaning of all of this a little bit. The verse begins with a very warm welcome to a guest who has also brought a gift. Thereby, this is a gift that is putting their best foot forward. They're wanting to make a very good impression. The next question of the verse is, where will this guest be allowed to sit? Even today, where someone is placed at a table, particularly during formal functions, it can be a reflection of their rank. And in ancient times, this was even more so the case. So having to earn your spot was something that was actually of great importance. Then at the end of the verse, the idea is conveyed that the guest does need to prove themselves. Now, the interpretations and commentary I've found about this differ, and whether this means that the guest needs to prove their worthiness of the seat that they chose for themselves, or if the guest needs to prove they are worth more than where they had been seated. There's a little bit of disagreement on there, and I can certainly see how one could apply certain principles depending on what situation they found themselves in. But the main thing is, how can we use this? The first takeaway I have is how we present ourselves in public actually does matter. Our behavior should reflect that we have a sense of self-respect and respect for others, that there is a certain etiquette that we do adhere to. And this is very difficult because good manners of any description are not very popular, and if we're being honest with ourselves, social media has destroyed almost all sense of good manners. We can't even identify what those would be, as much less put them into practice. So we have to be honest about those challenges, particularly if we find ourselves as being a guest in someone's home. The idea of bringing a gift when you are a guest of some kind. Sometimes this could be literal, but this could also be about the gift we bring to a room, the quality of our conversation, whether or not we can show a genuine interest in other people, if whether or not we are actual good company, just enjoyable to be around. There's a lot of that. There's a lot involved in that, and it's, and I realize, especially after the lockdowns and everything else, and living in such an atomized society, it can be very difficult to interact with people in even the most common sense, um, let alone being able to kind of, get along well in a more of a group setting and a relaxed social setting, just because if for no other reason we're not used to it anymore. So I think simply making the effort of trying to learn how to re-socialize ourselves and trying to learn how to interact with each other and in an enjoyable way, I think that would be a very good step forward for ourselves as individuals. And, hopefully there would be building consequences of that throughout the rest of society. But that's one thing. The second thing I'd like to touch on is that as much as we sometimes like to pretend otherwise, the human species, we really are a hierarchical kind of people. We will experience people assigning worth to us, and we will find ourselves doing the same to others, whether we wish to or not. In fact, some of the most judgmental people that I've ever met in my life were people who insisted that they never judged anyone. Of course they did. Of course we all do. It's not a question of whether or not this will happen. It's just, what is our judgment based upon, and are we seeing people with a clear lens? Because, being misjudged and misjudging other people, this is an inevitability. It's not like we're going to get through life without making mistakes about this or indeed anything else. That's just the reality of our existence. But it does emphasize, because of how misunderstandings can arise and how prevalent misunderstandings are, how important our conduct is. It makes our conduct more important than it would have been in other settings. because how we act, it can really prove what we are worth. It's telling of our character and whether or not anyone can rely upon us. Is our word worth anything? Can we actually do the things that we claim to do? Uh, it's weird. It's odd to think about things like reputation, because especially when I was growing up, ideas about reputation and what others think and all this was something that was to be rejected wholesale. It was very much a throwing the baby out with the bathwater type of situation. People simply did not want to think in those terms. They did not want to think that they would ever have to prove themselves in any sense. And unfortunately, we are reaping the rewards of that idea, and it doesn't seem to be working out. Sometimes, sometimes there are traditions that need to be tweaked, adjusted, or even abandoned, and then there are things that have a timeless value. And I think that the idea of conducting ourselves in a suitable fashion, presenting ourselves well, being someone who is bringing something good to a situation, I think that is one of those timeless values. That is something that will always have worth, whether or not it's acknowledged. So that's it for the Havamal verse 2. Come back for verse 3. If you'd like to discuss it further, please come see us at Blackbird's Brew. There's a link to join in the description box below. And as always, please subscribe, leave a comment, like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.